Oh yeah. What up, Wowee? Wow. All right, everybody, I'm
Wowee!
Chris. Here we go. We're gonna talk about some things here. All right. So, believe it or not, it's been 7 months or so since the last time we had an update on this Jsonify. So, good news. Now we got another one. So, I'm very excited about this update. Of course, I'm always excited about these updates, but this one is going to provide some language features. So, we added syntax highlighting about 7 months ago, which is very exciting. If we take a look at that, it looks oh so ugly. What is this? Oh gosh, I can't stand it. And then the GIF goes, oh my gosh, and it's so beautiful. And that's the warrior horse theme, but you could have your own theme as needed. But let's go ahead and jump over there. I'm going to show you what's new in Jsonify. Maybe let's see. Waha! Boom! There we go. Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, Jsonify is a VS Code extension. VS Code is free. Jsonify is free. And they are very quick to download and install and all that. And once you do, you can open up things like the List Formatting Samples repo or your own folder where you've got your own things going on, right? Whether those are HTML or SVGs or the JSON files themselves. All of those work. So I've shown this a couple of times, the idea that you can take an HTML file, right? You write this HTML here. I've got some inline styles up here. I've got some, or inline styles down here. I've got some classes defined up here and so on. And when I convert this to an SVList format, right, we see that it just happens. I get the format. I'm going to skip the whole demoing it in the site. We're just going to, trust me, that totally worked, guys. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yep. All right. And one of the things that's cool about that is that you'll see that these classes automatically get stripped out. Certain types like H1 tags get automatic default styles. In other words, it matches it as close as possible to the HTML you or your designer, whoever wrote, and then you can customize from there. Now, what gets more interesting though is when you start to get into some of these expressions, right? So this is where you start to see that syntax highlighting showing up here. So there it is. You can see you've got a current field and so on. Wow, 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 wow. But now what we've added is some language features. So now that if I hover over things like this, we can actually see things about it. So now we have inline documentation of all sorts of things as we do this. And we can even get some auto completion and so on. So if I wanted to say instead of the current field equals yes, I want to do something like, get rid of that. I could say starts with, you see I start to get things like that. But if I hit like, control space, I get all these suggestions. And we can even kind of bring those out and you can see details as you scroll through them to see exactly what you're talking about. Like, what is the B? Oh, it's the current user's email. Right, and that's pretty exciting. We come down here, we've got our functions here, and if we'll bring that thing back in, so we can just see our nice little tip there. So you can see exactly what these things do. So if you're ever wondering what functions are available, what do they do, how do they work, here you go. Right, so now you can say things like, let's do that starts with. Right, now you'll see we also have what's called suggestion helpers. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Support nested operator signature help providers. That's what it's called. Right, where you can see as you write a function, it not only tells you what each individual parameter does as you type them, right? So this is the target. So we say like at me again, right? If I want to say at me, then I can see my search term automatically gets highlighted. I also have examples of exactly how that's going to work. So if you forget which one goes where, all of that works with the nesting. Woo, woo, woo. Right, and then we also have this idea. So we got this, we got the autocomplete, we got the all the hover cards, and if you haven't seen it, you could even have your own .nav files because you could if you wanted. This is an embedded language, but as an embedded language inside your JSON, it also has its own full language support here. So if you ever wanted to see kind of what's available, right, or find out more about this documentation, all of these things are here, right? So you can just kind of hover over any and everything. All of this detail, all that's directly from the documentation. And the idea is when you're opening up a format, right, sometimes these can be really, really difficult to even know what's going on, right? Like find out where is the dynamic part, where are the expressions even happening, right? So having the colors can be really helpful. But more than that, it can just be hard sometimes to remember what is the exact syntax. Sometimes the properties are lowercase, sometimes they're camel case, sometimes they're uppercase, because that's fun. So something like this could really help you with that. So check it out. It's free. And I'm just going to cut it off there, and I'll just go back to my slides, and I'm going to do this super quick. Wow! There we go. And the last thing here is just some links for you. So what I've got here is a link to the list formatting repo, where we've got 200 plus samples, which you can open up if you want to download that as a zip, or you wanted to clone the repo and fork it, or whatever you wanted to do there. And if you're not familiar with what the heck I just said, David Warner has got some exciting intro getting started classes for you on GitHub and all that to explain it. But again, you could also just go there and hit that download zip, open in VS Code, and you've got access to all the samples, and you can start exploring right away. And you've got inline documentation that'll explain what the sample's doing at an expression level pretty quick. And then I didn't really mention these today, but I always like to mention SP Formatter. There's a couple of extensions there. There's a VS Code and Edge one that really make formatting inside the browser a lot easier, and it works really nicely with Jsonify. So you can be generating these things, having it up automatically, updating them, and demoing over in your site all at the same time. If you haven't seen that, there are some demos already out there somewhere about those. And then lastly, just because I think it's fun, if you notice the horses in my VS Code extension or VS Code window, you could have those too, right, with VS Code pets, and it's not just horses. So check those out, and that's it for me. I did it! Woo!